Hello, welcome to another up close video. Today's one is for designer's choice number 25, which is called the Dreamcatcher, and this gorgeous little A5 die set. Yours won't actually come on a magnetic sheet, it just comes on the acetate, but this gorgeous little A5 die set actually makes a three-dimensional, or well, it's not really that three-dimensional, but an actual real kind of dream catcher, obviously a sort of stylised one compared to a traditional sort of one, but it actually enables you to create a dream catcher because you get this gorgeous large piece here which has a hole at the top so you can easily hang it, and it also has 7 holes along the bottom that you can use either these portions that they give you and maybe use brads or split pins or something as a different kind of effect to attach them, or you can use the Tonic baker's twine, works fabulously. They now have their 3mm double-sided and double-edged satin ribbon, which would also work really nicely, and I actually used some beading thread as well through them, but also like embroidery floss would work really nicely too, depending on what you're gonna dangle from the Dreamcatcher. You get gorgeous feathers that work perfectly for dangling down, but I wanted so I have filmed the second part of this video already, and I wanted to, when I made my dream catcher, I wanted it to have some weight to it, so I actually used some glass beads, and hence why I was using beading thread, because it needed to be fine to get through the holes of the beads, and I also combined it with baker's twine and stuff as well, and it gave some weight to the sort of dangling portions. So even though they had the feathers on the end, the glass beads sort of helped them you know, really hang straight down, and I've already filmed that part of the video because you will hopefully, if you got the brand new Tonic official magazine issue number 2 that came out last week, that should have had a feature in it showing you my projects that I made with this designer's choice as well. And I did actually film the process of making my real dream catcher as well. So the sped up video for this month will be actually making a dream catcher out of like purples and teal kind of colours with this gorgeous die set. So if you're interested in exactly how I put it together, you can go and have a look at that, which should be up kind of tomorrow probably. But it's a really simple kind of design or idea that you just have the 7 holes along the bottom, and having 7's really nice because you've got one to sort of balance from the top to the bottom, and then you can stagger the lengths of these coming out depending what sort of design you're going for. So I think it's a really lovely design, and it's got some fantastic detail in here as well, which obviously you can use just to make your cards as well. You don't have to just make a dream catcher, and you can also use the smaller portion in the centre to kind of make a smaller dream catcher on a card as well. I can't remember what size card I did it on. It was either a DL card or a 5x7 card. Probably more likely to have been a DL one, but I did actually make a small dream catcher with the central portion on a card that past me will show you later as well. And then yesterday I was like, I need some more samples to show, so I got a little bit carried away and I made 5 more cards. So you've got quite a few examples of using these dies onto cards as well, rather than just making the dream catcher. So after all that rabbiting on, let's actually have a look at the dies, and if you're interested in getting this die set, there will be affiliate links below the video for the UK and the USA websites, and if you click on any of those links and then place an order, you will be supporting my channel, and I'll get a small commission of however much you spent at no extra cost to you as well. So I really do appreciate you using my links. So let's have a look at the actual die set. So this main portion that makes your actual dream catcher is really quite large, so it's perfect for creating kind of decor elements. I'm not sure how much I said in my other bits of video that I already filmed because it was quite a while ago, but I seem to remember, I just kind of got deja vu of saying that you could do some really cool rainbow ones or make them in your colours for people that you know, so you can really personalise them. And I don't think I told you the size before, so it is about 5¼ inch diameter for the main circle portion, which is about just over 13 centimetres. So it's a decent sized circle kind of main topper portion for the Dreamcatcher, and you also get all of the elements to layer on top of this as well. So you get the circle die, which can just be used, you know, as a lovely aperture on a square kind of circle card as well. Later on, if you haven't got like a set of nested circle dies, you've actually got some really useful ones inside here. And then I love what they've done with the design. I mean, I'm not actually sure if a real Dreamcatcher is offset or whether it is in the centre of the design, but I love the way they've offset this, because it means you can put this in any position you want. You could do it, look, maybe more traditionally would be like this, but I actually made mine like this because I thought it was quite interesting to have it off to the side. And this portion is fantastic for your card making as well. One of the ones that passed me will show you. I actually debossed this into the front of the card and it looks fantastic because there is so much detail in here. There's like all these parts that fall out that would be perfect to paper piece back in, and then you've also got butterflies in here as well, hidden within the design, and it looks absolutely stunning. And you can use it so many different ways within the Dreamcatcher or on your cards as well, and really focus in on this portion. Or actually you could probably use the outside, just the circle, and possibly this one as well, and cut that together, snip that little bit there, and you've got like a crescent moon to use on a larger kind of project or on a memory book page or something as well. So I think that would go really, really nicely. So that's the first like main gorgeous layer that you're getting in the die set. Then the next one down is actually, it reminds me of like a porthole. It's got the little holes all the way around. And my friend Ruth, who's also on the design team, so she will have a video up as well, did something really clever where she used thread to go through these holes and like hold all of this central portion together, which I thought looked really lovely. So definitely have a go with like weaving thread or ribbon or twine or something through those holes as well. Or you can also do the, you know, going across the actual design as well to kind of again look a bit more like a real Dreamcatcher. If you didn't want the sentiment on here, just having this sort of woven and maybe incorporating beads and stuff in there as well would look really cool. You could even do, I'm sure there's a type of embroidery where you have the straight lines going across and then you kind of go up and over all the way around, and it kind of looks a little bit like a spider's web sort of thing. I'm sure there's something like that you can do. And then, so the inside of this is actually solid, so you would actually need to cut out the centre of this to kind of have that dainty detail be like see-through, so that you could see through to the other side. So you do actually get another die which actually has a scallop on. So actually if you cut these inside each other, that scallop would probably help you with some kind of design like that, because it would keep the thread in a certain position because of the little scallops in there. So you also get the scallop that would layer on top, and then you also get the gorgeous sentiment which has loads of butterflies in it as well. And this one says, make your dreams come true, and you can actually snip this out as well if you want to. Looks really fantastic snipped out. I actually made a wreath out of feathers and then snip this out and place that on top of the wreath, and it looks fantastic. And you've also got the little butterflies in there which look brilliant when it's just cut out, but you can also layer the butterflies from the die set on top as well, so you've got like little 3D butterflies. You've kind of got places to put them then as well. So I think this is a gorgeous die set, whether you are going to make a Dreamcatcher or whether you're just going to use the bits and pieces on your card as well. So that is all of the main dies. Then you also get these pieces, which I didn't actually use when I was making my Dreamcatcher, but I have actually used them on one of the cards that I'll show you, and I actually used them on a Christmas card. So there are actually extra uses for these rather than just adding to this sort of dangliness on here. But actually I think what you could do with these, if you don't have any sort of beads in your stash or any like beading twine that could fit through beads and stuff like that, maybe you're not into sort of jewellery making or you've never ventured into that, you can still give that effect with these dies. So you could either use little bits of baker's twine to link these together. If you did have something like jump rings, you could link them together with jump rings, or if you love your interactive or kinetic kind of boxes and stuff that require little brads, and you have some of them, you could connect them together with little brads, and then you actually have areas on here that look like kind of beads. So you've got the circle in the middle and then 3 on that one. And for this kind of thing, you could either take gems and stick them like either side of it, so then whatever side of the Dreamcatcher you're looking at, it would kind of look like a three-dimensional bead or something dangling down. Or you could actually, you'd have to be a bit patient, but you could actually add Nuvo drops on them, and maybe even do 2 of them and stick them back to back, so that you've got like an actual domed portion on one side and the other side, so it looks like a round kind of bead. I think that would look fantastic as well. And you could definitely do the technique that I love doing, where you swirl a different colour of Nuvo drop on the top of another one. I think because these are such large areas, that kind of idea would look really good, because you'd be able to see it quite easily. So you've got those little pieces as well to sort of create your dream catcher. And then on the end of a dream catcher, you always have feathers. So you also have 2 different feathers as well. So you've got this gorgeous large feather, which measurement wise, to the top of the hole, so from the tip of the feather to the top of the hole, it is 3¼ inches, or just over 8 centimetres. And the little one from the tip of the feather to the top of the hole is 2 inches, or about 5 centimetres, if you want to know sizes for those. So they work really nicely for the scale of this large dream catcher. And if you have any real feathers, they would look fantastic on here as well. I know you can get, like, in the kids craft section, really bright coloured ones. You could do a gorgeous rainbow kind of dream catcher with rainbow feathers coming off of it as well. But you don't have to have the feathers coming off of it. I'm sure some dream catchers do have extra pieces that fall down off of them, and some kind of design where they're all sort of held together and they have extra circles within the dangling parts as well. So you do even get some dies that will create things like this. Or if you had smaller real feathers or stamps or dies, you could actually turn this one into a really tiny kind of dream catcher as well. So you've got this gorgeous scalloped circle with the sort of eyelet sort of detail around it with the holes. Then you have the next size circle down that fits inside that, and then you also have this gorgeous one. I really love this design. I can't remember what I did with it on the cards that Past Me will show you, but I'm sure I debossed it into the card as well. I think I did, but I actually cut it into one of the backgrounds of the cards that I made yesterday that I'll show you in a minute. Sorry if that's getting confusing. But yeah, really, really pretty design, this one, and you've got the circle to cut that out as well if you want to. So you've got that kind of like mini sort of dream catcher design, and then you've also got another sort of smaller circle, which again has that eyelet design in it with a smaller scalloped circle inside that. You've got this piece here, which is kind of like a label or a tag, I suppose. And I think the idea is that you could have it up here at the top of the dream catcher, because it's the same size as that circle. I mean, the butterflies are sort of indicating it would go up that way, but you probably could put it up that way as well if you wanted to. Or this could be some way of adding a sentiment onto the card, because you've also got a little extra die in the centre that you could stamp your sentiment onto and then like raise it up on top. And then finally, the last 2 dies, which are 2 of my most cut dies from this die set, are the gorgeous little butterflies. So I love having little butterflies, and you've got one that's slightly smaller than the other, and they've got different debossing or embossing details on them as well. And they're just absolutely perfect, those little butterflies. Perfect for just like folding down the body and just sticking with that little small portion in the middle and having the wings elevated. Looks fantastic. So I'll be back in 1 second to show you the 5 cards that I made yesterday with these. Okay, so the first one that I've done isn't really Dreamcatcher sort of, well, none of these are actually really a Dreamcatcher, but this is using that gorgeous sentiment from the centre of it to make a focal element, and it's actually a shaker as well. So if you want to see how easy it is to put this shaker together, I've done a photographic step-by-step for Tonic's blog, so you can go and have a look and see how easy it is to put a gorgeous, like, layered up sort of shaker card together like this, using the different dies and getting the aperture in the front of the card and everything so that it's really neat with the foam tape. And you can see how I've scattered those gorgeous butterflies up the card. I just love how they look just added onto here, and you can see I've added a couple over the top of some of the butterflies that cut into the sentiment. They're just the perfect place to add them. They've you know, dotted them around in a really nice fashion, so you can just add a couple of butterflies onto the ones that are already on the sentiment, and I've just sort of scattered them down the card. So a really, really simple, gorgeous shaker card, and this was using the fabulous Flamingo Circle confetti, which came out in the Tropical Paradise colour trend in their set of confetti and glitter and sequins. Then I did this one, which is using those little bead bits, but it's Christmas card. So who'd have thought that you could turn a Dreamcatcher die set into a Christmas card? And all I've done is just added in a sentiment, which was from the Winter Tag Sentiment die set that came out a little while ago, and it had 25th December, Winter Wishes and Let It Snow in it, and I thought Winter Wishes would go quite nicely. And then all I did was cut 3 for each snowflake, so I either used the larger one or the smaller one, and I cut 3 from the same colour and then just offset them to kind of make a 6-pointed snowflake, and I think it looks really cool. It's very funky and modern kind of snowflakes, but I think it turned out really nicely. And I've also used some of the pieces that fell out of the holes on these bits as some of the dots in the background. There's also some Love Potion Dream Drops on there as well, and also some of the Starlit Snowflake confetti on there too. So really quick and easy kind of Christmas card, because I was already cutting loads of feathers and butterflies to create the other cards. I thought, well, I might as well run through those other 2 dies while I'm already running through the butterflies and the feathers a load of times. So then I kind of got this card as a freebie. So I think it turned out really nicely as an extra kind of Christmas card. Then I did this one, which is kind of Dreamcatcher-esque, but it's kind of more of an abstract Dreamcatcher. So for this one, I have actually cut that gorgeous crescent shape into the white panel for my card, and I also cut the small circle as well. And then I used a mixture of silver tinsel, diamond, and candy pink glitter. So I put double-sided adhesive sheet on the back and then used a mixture of those 3 glitters to add onto the exposed adhesive once I'd stuck the gorgeous decorative detail on top of it. And I used those 3 colours because they match the colours that I was using for all the cards, just the pink, the kind of white and the silver. And I've also used some of the Love Potion Dream Drops to accent that as well. And then I've just used some of the 3mm satin ribbon, which I can't remember the colour. It is called Sweet Pink. I'm almost out of this one already, but it's a gorgeous ribbon. And it works really nicely for tying onto these. So if I'd had the ribbon when I made the Dreamcatcher, it would have worked fabulously for that. Or maybe I did have the ribbon actually. Now I'm thinking about it, maybe I did use the purple ribbon as a bow at the top of the Dreamcatcher. Anyway, you'll find out when you watch the rest of the video. But yeah, the ribbon works really nicely with the Dreamcatcher, whether you want to add a bigger bow with the thicker ribbon or use the thinner ribbon to tie on the little feathers and stuff. I think it works really nicely. And I've just laid up a few more of the butterflies, done slightly different things with them, and like overlapped them. And I think that looks really lovely. It kind of clusters them together a little bit more. Because I'd done this overlapping with the feathers, I thought it would look nice to do the same kind of thing with the butterflies. And then you've just got them sort of cascading across the card. And I've just used my Dymo labeler to do the sentiment on that one. Then, I love this one. If you watched my, what was it? I think it was my Harvest Moon Tonic craft kit, which I think was craft kit number 48, and I might have also shown the cards in my Harvest Moon Colour Trend unboxing video, but I did something similar with the small little dies that were in that craft kit. And I wasn't planning on making this card, but I'd cut out so many butterflies for the other cards. I knew I wanted to add butterflies as accents, and I had all of the leftovers from die cutting them, so all I did was take my scissors and just snip them into random wacky rectangular kind of shapes. And I had to go quite small because I'd put both the butterflies quite close to each other, so I had to try and not get the aperture from the other butterfly into the little rectangle when I was cutting them out. But it is still possible to even have those tiny little scraps from the outside of a butterfly die cut and turn them into another card as well. So I really love how this one turned out. And I also used some sequins on this one too, which are the Spring Rose sequins. And I think these ones came out in one of the craft kits actually. They might have been an exclusive, I'm not sure. But I just thought the pink went perfectly with the colours that I was using. And I really love how this one turned out. I love this kind of really clean and simple kind of style, and it just works so nicely for using up any of your leftovers. And then I've just added the Love Potion Dream Drops in the centre of the sequins as well. And then finally, the last one I did was creating a wreath out of a ton of the feathers, and I even left the ring portion on them, and I think it looks fine. And then I just added on some of the butterflies, which I've double layered all of the butterflies with 2 different colours. And then you can see here what I was saying before about snipping out the sentiment, that you can actually just snip around the words and place them in the centre of the wreath, and I think that looks really cool as well. So another different way of using the feathers from this die set along with the gorgeous butterflies. And then I've also put some of those sequins on as well. So hopefully you've enjoyed seeing those extra samples, and I will pass you on to Past Me to show you the other samples that I've done, and then I'll be back to finish off the video. So these are the samples that I've currently done. Future me might have already shown you some other examples, or after this bit there might be some more examples, but I was making these ones ahead of time, and I decided this time, instead of filming my cards, I've done the cards as an extra, and I actually filmed how to turn this die set into a real Dreamcatcher. I mean, I know it's probably not 100% like a real Dreamcatcher, but it kind of gives the effect of a Dreamcatcher using the dies from this designer's choice. So I'll show you the 2 cards first. So I might have done some other cards that I might have already shown you, or they might be somewhere in this video, but these were the 2 that I did, so I didn't film these ones. But I thought I loved the feathers just by themselves, and I was gonna actually just do a feather background all over the card, but then I thought this die was so beautiful that I really wanted to do the debossing effect just into the cardstock. So you take your same sandwich that you would to emboss a die once you've die cut it, and you just emboss the die into it using your squidgy mat. So I think it's like the embossing plate, the top plate and the squidgy mat, and that's how you get that gorgeous detail, and it just looks so pretty and intricate as well. And I love the asymmetry of this. I probably already said this, but it's kind of like a crescent moon, and it's off to one side, and I really love that because you can actually take use of the fatter part of it or the thinner part as well, depending what kind of card you're doing. I then used a couple of the smaller dies to create like a little focal element on the card, and then I've used a load of the butterflies and feathers all over the background, and I've just used my Dymo to do my sentiment on this one, and then I've just done a few little doodles with black and white pens as well to tie the black and white of the sentiment into the rest of the card. So that's a really simple one. This one is kind of making a dream catcher for the card as well, and for all of these cards I used all of the same colours, so I used the same colours that I used on the main Dreamcatcher, but instead of putting it onto the white circle with the dots or the hole cut out, I put it onto the darker blue colour, which I quite like that. But then to make it stand out nicely, I did a faux white stitching with a white gel pen around the edge of that one, which kind of makes it stand out a little bit more as well. And then I've just done a load of feathers coming out the bottom of this one, and to attach the feathers on this one I used the baker's twine again that I've used on the real Dreamcatcher, but this time I threaded the loop through the end of the feather and then pulled the other 2 tails through, so you've got that kind of looping effect and then a double string going back up to the Dreamcatcher. I just thought it would kind of fill up the card a little bit more, because obviously with a real Dreamcatcher the strings are going to be a lot longer, but when you're just working on like a DL kind of sized card, you've got to sort of make them a bit smaller and closer up to the design. So I thought having the double baker's twine coming off of them would sort of fill in the area a little bit more, and I do quite like how that looks as well. And then I've used the Make Your Dreams Come True main sentiment, but I also used my Dymo to do Dreams Come True as well, just to make it look a little bit different and, you know, add something else extra amongst all of the feathers on there. And I've also dotted in some double layered up butterflies as well, just across the whole card, and I really like how that one turned out too. So you can actually use this on your cards to create a lovely Dreamcatcher as well. Doing anything smaller than a kind of DL sort of sized card, I think this is slightly wider than a DL card, but anything sort of smaller than that, it's going to be hard to get the proper look of a Dreamcatcher because this central section is quite big and the feathers are quite big. But I think it works nicely on a DL card as well, although I'm sure future me might have done some more cards to show you some extra ideas using the smaller dies from the set as well. I just sort of did these three you know, to show off the actual Dreamcatcher elements, but I'm sure there's lots of ways of using the other dies as well, and I might have already shown you that, or that might be later on in the video. So that is that one. And then we've got the actual Dreamcatcher as well. So for this one, oh, I think that's actually on the back, isn't it? Yes, it was the wrong way around, because I put butterflies on the front of it, but I made it double-sided, and I did a sped up video on this one, and you'll see that I put acetate between the two intricate ones, so I cut everything twice, and so it's just exactly the same on the front and the back, and then I sandwiched the acetate in between the two dark blue ones that are the outer ring, and doubling that up hides the acetate in there, makes it look nice and neat, but it also doubles up the strength of the little rings that hold everything on as well, which is really nice. I was trying to die cut the acetate so that you had the strength of the acetate in those rings as well, but because the tonic acetate is so thick, it doesn't really cut through with the die, and it was just being a right nightmare. So I cut all of these little loopy bits off and just did it as a circle in between. But if you have a slightly lesser micron acetate, or maybe some packaging or something that's a thinner sort of micron thickness, you might be able to get it to cut through. Sometimes if you put your die onto the acetate but then put a piece of scrap paper underneath, sometimes that can help it cut through, especially with a thinner weight acetate, but the one I was trying to use was a thicker one, because I've run out of all of my slightly thinner acetate, so it didn't quite work for this purpose. But they are actually strong enough without the acetate in there, which is really nice to know as well, because this is just the textured Craft Perfect, which is quite a thin cardstock anyway, so just doubling it up, it is strong enough, which is nice. And then you'll probably see in my sped up video me fiddling around trying to thread beads and stuff onto here. I added in quite a few glass beads, as well as a couple of plastic pony beads in the shape of hearts as well, but I tried to add glass beads so that it would add the weight to it, so that if you had it hanging like in the wind, it would move nicely and not just be like bits of paper stuck to a string, you know. It would actually have a nice weight to it as it moved, so that's why I'd opted for glass beads on there. However, the problem with glass beads is they tend to have quite a small hole in them, so I had to use an actual beading thread, which is luckily it's a lovely blue colour that works really nicely, but I had to use a beading thread as well as the twine, so some of the beads are attached just with the thread, and I've kind of run the thread and the twine all the way down, and then where I needed the twine, I've threaded that through something, and where I needed the thread, I threaded that through something, and then every so often I knotted it to help things stay in place, and when I knotted it, I knotted both together, so it sort of holds it all in place nicely. But I do really love how this turned out, and I tried to go with that typical like Gaussian curve, I think that's called what it's called, where it gets longer in the middle and goes up at the edges, so it gives that nice sort of V kind of effect, with everything coming down to a point at the bottom, with the one feather in the middle being the longest one, and I think it looks really nice. I tried to photograph this for the video. It's kind of a little bit tricky to photograph, and it's probably a little bit tricky to sort of show quite how nice it is on the camera, but I do think it turned out really nice, and I think this is a lovely project to make, especially if you've got like maybe slightly older grandchildren or something that could tie knots and put beads onto thread and stuff. This might be quite a nice project to make with them. You could have everything already die cut out, and then you can put it all together. If you had a craft stall, you could do like a DIY make your own Dreamcatcher and include all of the elements that you've used to make one like in a little cellophane bag and sell it as a set as well. I think that would be a really cool idea. And I love, because you have the dies, you can make it go with the colour scheme of whatever room as well, or for the colour scheme that someone really loves, just like one colour as their favourite colour, or my goddaughter really loves rainbow at the moment, so you could do like a whole rainbow effect, especially if you've got this has 7 holes along the bottom, so you could even do one of them each of the rainbow colours as well, which would be really lovely too. And even because it's like a circular shape, you could even incorporate a rainbow into the top piece too. So yeah, I think this is a really lovely set, and I'm sure I've already told you all of that as well. But yeah, I'll pass you back to future me to finish off the video for you. So I hope you enjoyed this up close video looking at designer's choice number 25, which is the Dreamcatcher, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the actual Dreamcatcher that I made and all of the other extra kind of samples. I think there was 2 extra cards before, so 7 cards and an actual Dreamcatcher that you can create from this gorgeous die set, and even turning it into Christmas cards as well. I think is such a fun idea. And I hope you enjoyed seeing some of this inspiration. I really love how these cards turned out, and to think that just some of them were using scraps, or, you know, turning an odd kind of die that might not have another use into some gorgeous snowflakes. I think it's a really cool die set, and I think this is going to be a popular one as well. So if you're interested in getting it, don't forget there are affiliate links below the video in the description, and also on my blog as well, and there are affiliate links for the UK site and the USA site as well, and I really appreciate you using them if you do take the time to use my link to place your order. It really means a lot to me, so thank you so much to everybody who does, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!